after I was authorized as Crown Prince of my Hohenzollern royal family in 1972. At home. My mother Judith was stuck at home with her husband Kevin for the first time in their marriage since 1958. And with me, the first legitimately registered baby of her marriage. The baby she had tried to avoid the entire marriage. She approached a doctor to chat about her options and was told about an operation called a hysterectomy, which removes a female's ability to gestate a child. It is basically a womb removal, in some ways. She did not want her nice, decent, honest husband Kevin to get to take another one of his own biological children home again. She thought the time he spent at home with me made him too happy, in her opinion. To her it looked like he was experiencing partial domestic bliss. Judith was extremely keen on the idea immediately. She booked herself in for the surgery. The operation was officially performed later, in 1972. She spent over a year in the household with her husband. The longest period she had ever spent with him. After my mother Judith had her hysterectomy, she left. For those who may wonder about her interactions with me, she was not around me for my first Christmas, New Year, or birthday. So, relax about it a little. Judith's almost identical lookalike Pauline returned, resuming her role of pretending to be my father's wife, like she had been since mid-1958. The 4 female fake siblings, pretending to be my older sisters, with 4 separate fathers, none of them my father Kevin, had their mother back. Germany. Both Germany nations received the official Royal Hohenzollern documents and recognized them. They put them in a museum with others Kaiser Adolf authorized in 1943. They checked the wax seals with microscopes and found the 1972 documents had the same microscopic pits and flaws transferred from the seal die matrix as the last documents he authorized in October 1943, before his abduction. Same sealer matrix, therefore. Officials in both East and West Germany then told other countries in semi-private communications, including the USA. The response of corrupt people in the know in the state of California was to go directly to Charles Manson. Manson was on death row, awaiting an automatic appeal of the death sentence she was given before I was born. The Manson cult trial was like a circus to try to get Kaiser Adolf's attention, in some ways, apparently. As if they thought he should have a slightly mesmerized interest in Manson and would be watching in Italy. Certain scrolls on foreheads were possibly specifically to attempt to get his attention for the trials. Manson was the daughter of hideous and heinously evil fake physicist Albert Einstein, Sadie Einstein's brother. Manson's mother was Isabel Williams, nicknamed Fritz. Williams was the female found dead in a bunker in Berlin in 1945 in an Adolf Hitler costume, on top of a female pretending to be a fictitious character called Eva Braun. Eva's real name was Janet Podolski. The female who had the firstborn child to Kaiser Adolf's stolen sperm, born 1907, Donna Podolski, my grandmother. They then filmed Manson being offered a deal in the jail interview room. They said they would let her off the death penalty if she agreed to attempt to breed a child to steal my identity with, in jail. It was so they could pretend to steal my Hohenzollern royal family for the Einsteins and to finish the heinous evil crime that they didn't get done during World War II. Manson was pregnant in Folsom Prison within weeks of my birth, whilst the Anderson case was in the courts. Media, particularly the television. In some ways, I was lucky. There was no television reception. In my hometown, people had televisions, but could not get a watchable picture due to the placement of the transmitters and the landscape. I got a good grounding in the truth before I first saw fictional intellectual vomit on television and about more things than my great-grandfather Kaiser Adolf. We spent a lot of time at home listening to music. I learned how to put the stylus carefully down on a vinyl disc as soon as I was tall enough to reach to do it. When the transmitters were upgraded and neighbors started getting a watchable picture with sound on their televisions, my father immediately bought one. My first experience of one was being dumped in front of it after getting home from a hospital stay caused by an attack on me when he wasn't home. My father, future Duke and Lord Kevin Webb the Habsburg, had bought one whilst I was in hospital to cheer me up. There was only one phone as well, and it was at the local post office. The television was released as commercially available to the public after World War II, when Kaiser Adolf was still being illegally held prisoner in Yugoslavia. Lunatics were pretending to be waiting for Sadie to arrive with the inbred baby that did not exist, deceased at 3 months gestated in April 1944. The fake history of World War II broadcast on the new medium television, with the repugnant amount of fictional material about Germany and my Hohenzollern monarchy included, caused people to develop a psychological attitude flaw. A gaping chasm in the very thin intellectual ice at the time. They still insist that people pretend anything with Germany as the theme is mesmerizing in some way to the viewer. They lapse into pretending people stare at every little movement and gesture and listen to every noise as if fixated, taking in every lie as the first priority in any information. As if building a virtual something on fiction that will materialize as real someday. That fictional material about my Hohenzollern royal family got a lot worse after I was born than it was before. Demands for me to do whatever they pretended Kaiser Adolf did for television were made really early in my life. Sport. The 1974 Soccer World Cup was in West Germany. The trophy was redesigned after I was born and before the tournament was held by a crazy lunatic from Italy. He made the original prototype mold with his own feces mixed with some clay. Australia's national team, the Socceroos, qualified for the tournament for the first time ever. The draw resulted in Australia being placed in a group with West Germany, East Germany, and the only nation in the tournament whose name looked like the word child. Chile. It was rigged, in my opinion. People yelled out at me constantly during the games as if I was watching every minute on television at home. The overwhelming minority of it was supportive. The tournament may not have even been on television in Australia. We may not have had one at the time, anyway.